story to our old heads. So I'm going to have to go back and revisit it to bring our younger generation up to speed. So these are the words recorded out of the King James versions. And there went a man out of the house of Levi, and he took to wife a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bare a son. And when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him for 3 months. And when she could no longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes and dabbed it with slime and pitch and put the child therein. And she laid it in the flags by the river's brink. And his sister stood afar off to wit what would be done of him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked along by the riverside. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept. And she had compassion on him and said, "This is one of the Hebrews' children." Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, "I shall go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee." And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, "Go." And the maid went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, "Take this child away and nurse it for me. I will give thee thy wages." And the woman took the child and nursed it, and the child grew. And she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moses, and said, "Because I drew him out of the water." So this morning, I just want to take a little time. Do y'all hear that? Do y'all hear that? Greater is calling. Greater is calling. Tell somebody, greater is calling. Do you hear it? You should hear it now. You should hear it now. Greater is calling. See, you weren't listening, and greater is calling. I want to use this story today to perhaps slip some anniversary stuff in, and for us in our personal lives. For 132 years, West End has been doing the business of church, the business of ministry. While we are grateful, and I am very grateful in this season to be honored as the pastor of this great branch of Zion. It is my pleasure that God, 132 years ago, said, "This little boy in Charleston, South Carolina, I got to form him, and I have to sign a contract, because 132 years I was not even a thought." So I was in heaven signing a contract to become the pastor of West End Baptist Church. And so, like I said, I'm not sure this is going to be a anniversary message or not, but what we usually do is we ask, and I was caught up in everything this month. I didn't even ask anybody to present a love offering for the anniversary. But those of you who know me, you knew I was going to ask anyway. So I know you came prepared to do that. So we're not even going to go there. So the message today is to give you hope while you are walking out this walk. Maybe you were considered by your family as the black sheep, one who considered wasn't raised with the silver spoon in their mouth. You know, the one who grew up on the other sides of the track. Maybe that's your life. Maybe you have been battling through that story of your life, and somehow or another you kind of made it all right, but the shackles are the bond of that story still holding you back from getting moving to where God has for you. Just maybe you were considered the bad apple of the bunch. Maybe you were considered the one people said is never going to amount to anything. Maybe you still wrestling with those dark places, those dark stories of your childhood, that where you have seen some things you shouldn't have seen. You have experienced some things you should not have experienced. And somehow or another, here you are today, sitting here and saying to yourself, no, he didn't go there. So this is your day of salvation. Tell somebody, this is the day of salvation. So, maybe you feel like you are a victim of your circumstances, you know, and one of the things in the Black community is we teach you how to be a very good victim of your circumstances. We teach you how to play the race card, the sick card, or whatever card you want to. So we do a very good job of doing that. And what happens is we remain victims even when the opportunity to be victorious appears. So am I talking to somebody today? Just maybe you might even be successful, but those constant thoughts of your past haunt you. Every time you get ready to do something, those thoughts remind you you are not anything. You shouldn't even be here. How did you get here? Somebody looked out for you, but they gone now. What you gonna do? Do you have those thoughts? Or maybe I'm the only one that have to. So what happens is those thoughts makes us less effective or sometimes ineffective in our own lives. Sometimes we actually walk to the blessing, and the blessing is right there in our face. And because of our past life, we close off the blessing. We walk away from the blessing because we say, I shouldn't even be here. Mm-hmm. So can I get a witness of that? So I want to encourage you today because greater is calling. Greater is calling. God created us to grow, to expand, to flourish into greatness. But sometimes this isn't always the easiest and most exciting thing that happens. We face hardships, disappointments, loss. We don't always understand, why did this happen to me? And no matter where you go, nobody can give you an answer. You go to the church and they just tell you, well, just trust God. He knows what he's doing. So what? That doesn't give me an answer to the question I have and why I had to go through this. And I'm looking right there and I see my neighbor who's not going through it. Why is it me? Have you been there? Sometime somebody had counted on you and you had to, your little buddy, you grew up together, and all of a sudden they move away. And you're like, well, what happened? What am I going to do? Man, now you have to work at finding new friends. Or even at work, you're doing great things. And everything is working, appears to be working on your favor. And then one day you come in and there's conflict. Everything is a struggle. You don't even enjoy work no more. What is happening? I thought this was the job of my dreams. And now I can't stand it or stand the people. What is happening? And it's not so much that it appears that they can't stand me. Am I talking to you? Sometimes God will let us be uncomfortable so that he can bless us later on. He'll close a door. We may not like it. We may not even understand it, but he's trying to open a bigger door. He'll take us to a new level of our destiny, but we kick and scream to go. Why? Because we still have a sense of unworthiness in us, a sense as it should be me. Oh, Lord, why me? Why would you bless me? I haven't done everything right. I haven't done everything you told me to do. Matter of fact, you just told me something and I messed it up. Why me? Tell somebody, because you were destined. It's part of your destiny. And that mess up was part of your destiny. God is the one who created you. You don't think God knows where you're going to mess up and where you're going to get it right? And when you don't think the one who created you, the one you sat with before the foundation of the world, knows how you are going to navigate this life, how and what choices you are going to make. And the problem with that is we get so locked in on the choices we make, not so much for ourselves, but how others receive it. We're not concerned with how God, who created us, receive it. I'm more concerned with what you're going to say if I make this decision. I'm more concerned about my family treatment of me if I make this decision. They already consider me the black sheep. I'm going to be a no sheep if I continue on this way. Am I helping you? Am I talking to you today? So in order to understand this empowering thought, greater is calling, I must digress and set up the story so that you will be able to find your story in the midst of this story so that you can explode on the scene because greatness is calling. So before we reach our text in chapter 2, chapter 1, around the 8th verse, tells us or starts the story off to us. There was a king that came to power, a pharaoh that came to power that didn't know Joseph. Not only did not know Joseph, but he knew nothing of the things Joseph had done for Israel. And he told his people, now listen closely, he told his people, because when you have a mindset of lack, limitation, and scarcity, you project it on people around you. Now listen to what he says. He told his people through his belief that the Israelites outnumbered them and was stronger than them. How did he know that? Because in his thinking, his belief, he saw that they were multiplying and he was afraid. He was afraid. And his fear he now cast to the people. Have you grown up in that situation? See, you wanted to do something, and because of my parents' fear, they cast their fear on me, so I could not do it. Why? Because I was living through they fear, not mine, they fear. And that fear became my fear. So I didn't do what I was called to do. Are y'all with me? And so he went on and he says, we must make a plan to keep them from growing. Listen to this. We must make a plan to keep them from growing. I would have said, I think we need a new Pharaoh. How do you keep people from multiplying? But because his fear became their fear, that seemed logical. Are y'all following me? I'm trying to set this up so y'all understand that who's ever leading you, you will take on. And so when they said the man is the head of the house, if he is afraid, the family was what? Come on, somebody. And so he said, we must, because let me tell you why we must make this plan to keep them from growing. He says, because if we don't and war breaks out, they will join our enemies and fight against us. Now, what kind of logic is that? Do y'all understand what I'm saying? How do you get that luggage? They don't know nobody except you. And if a war came, why would they break out and go to the enemy and destroy their own house? Y'all follow me? And so what he does, he appoints brutal taskmasters over them, hoping to wear them down with crushing labor. Now, I want you to understand his philosophy here, because this is important. He put brutal taskmasters over them, hoping to wear them down so they won't have sex. They'll be too tight. Come on, somebody. Y'all understanding me? You be too tired. Them bricks too much, babe. You're going to have to sit over there because my back hurt. Come on. Because we've been, and now we get to the point that we have to make bricks without straw. Ain't nothing happening now because you understand? So this tell you, if you look at the mentality here, the mentality of Pharaoh is completely connected to the world, because he's touching all of those things that your physicality would touch, but nothing spiritual. And so he goes on to say, that didn't work, because the more we oppressed them, the more harder work they did. He said, the more they multiplied. See, he don't see the spiritual side. Come on, somebody. The more he oppressed them, the more they multiplied. Now, if you have, February, I haven't done it in a couple of years, but I do this Black history thing so you know your biblical Black history. What is happening is nothing new, because the more they oppressed us in slavery, the more we what? Come back in February for the whole story. And so what happens is he said, that is not working. So all of the Egyptians become alarmed because of this happening. So now Pharaoh calls all of the midwives to the palace. And he says, listen, then when you go over there to deliver the baby, if it's a boy, kill him. If it's a girl, let him live. The midwives, who are afraid of God, goes and does nothing. He calls them back and say, what in the world? What did I tell you? He said, well, see, Pharaoh, The Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women. They are more energetic and rambunctious and vigorous. And by the time we get there, the baby is here. Ain't nothing we can do. See, your Egyptian woman can be in labor for hours and hours and hours, but them Hebrews are popping them out like popcorn. So by the time we get there, they already had the baby and the baby sucking on their breath. So ain't nothing we can do. So Pharaoh now comes back and says, in verse 22 of chapter 1, he says, and he gives the order to all of his people that every newborn that is born, that is a boy, throw him in the Nile River and let him drown. If it's a girl, you can let him live. But every little boy that is born, now he's talking to all of his people. Why? Because when the Israelites went out to do their work, they had to carry the babies with them. So they would see those babies, and the order was to throw into the Nile, let them drown. Y'all still with me? Now we are getting to where our text is. So now this man of Levi, who's the priesthood of the children of Israel, went and took his wife, another daughter of Levi, which she's a priestess, and she conceived and gave birth to the son. When she saw that he was a beautiful, healthy child, she hid him for 3 months to protect him from the Egyptians throwing him where? Remember that. When she could no longer hide him, she got him a basket made of papyrus reeds, covered it with tar and pitch, making it waterproof. And then she put the child in the Nile River. Come on, somebody. The very thing that was supposed to destroy him, now he's in it anyway. Are y'all following me? So my first point is your dark place have purpose. Your dark places have purpose. The Israelites as a nation was in a dark place. They had been going through this process of slavery, and now they are encountering a genocide of all the male children. Moses' mother had exhausted all of her resources to hide the child that she saw was beautiful and healthy. So she made a basket out of the papyrus reeds, covered it with pitch, and made it waterproof, and she placed the child in it. Here it is. He was not only born into a dark place, but now he's being put in a dark place. Now, that's the story of us as a people. We were born into this dark thing, and now we're being put in, most people would say, into a darker, but darkness doesn't have a color radius. It's just dark. And so now as we pass through these dark places, whether they be of our circumstances in life, or as we navigate through these waters to the hands that we're dealt, in this moment, we find that God is still making everything work for our good. I'm going to get there. So your dark place, that life you grew up in that you so detestly hate now, what happened to you, everything that went on, it had a purpose. And that purpose have you here today. Because that what happened to you has made you the person you are today. Now, I know some horrible things have happened to us, because I lived a life of abuse. So some horrible things that happened to us. And while we were experiencing it, we could not understand why it was happening to us and not somebody else. But here it is. God still had a plan. His plan was still to prosper you and not to harm you. Are y'all following me? So even though those things tore you up, made you even today still question your ability to function, you need to know greater is calling. And so she had exhausted every way she knew to protect her child. She exhausted it to the point where she said, I don't know what to do. But even in that, because she was a priestess from the Levites, she knew that God was up to something. Come on, somebody. Because she made him a waterproof basket, put him in, and sailed him down the Nile. I may not understand it, or it may not even look like it should be, but why it happened, not sure. But the truth of the scriptures says that Deuteronomy 31:8 says, it is the Lord who goes before me. He will be with me. He will never leave me or forsake me. Don't fear or be dismayed. That's a promise God is making to us. I don't know how to accept that promise, but today I can accept that promise and said, it was tough. But right now, I have the opportunity to explode on the scene with what God has given me. So our text goes on to say the child was crying because of the darkness. Have you cried in your dark moment? Have he was put into the second dark place because he cried out. And the scripture says, and Psalm says, I waited patiently for the Lord. He inclined me and heard my cry. Tell somebody, God heard you. He's hearing you even right now. And so you may not be able to see it, but Psalms 41:3 says, he drew me up from the pit of destruction and out of the miry bog and set my feet upon a rock, making my steps secure. See, he has put a new song in my mouth. A song of praise to our God. And so you can't tell somebody, you can't rehearse that old story no more. You got to get a new song. You got to get a new story. See, you can't keep talking about, well, I was abused. Because those who are listening will hear you, but in their mind, they're saying, but you're 59 years old, Pastor. Now, I know you was abused when you was a child, but what's your story now? You can't allow that 5-year-old story to run your 59-year-old story. Because when you became as a certain age, you had the ability to do whatever you want to do. But the haunting or the shackles or the bondage of your previous life, your childhood, cannot or will not no longer hold you hostage. Tell somebody it can't hold you hostage no more. You got to let it go. Why? Because greater is calling. You think you went for that for nothing? You think you experienced all of that for nothing? You think you went through the racism for nothing? You think our ancestors had to drink from a colored only fountain to a white only fountain connected by the same water lines Are y'all understanding me? See, all of that stuff that we experienced wasn't because of you. It was because of somebody else's fear. They were afraid. You weren't afraid. They were afraid and cast their fears upon you. So that's why you could be treated because of the color of your skin. Because they are afraid. You're not afraid of your skin color. It is what it is. But when somebody cannot see their divinity, they would object to you. Come on, somebody. When you understand who you are, somebody will always take offense because they cannot understand who they are. And they will always feel that you are a threat. Do you understand me? So therefore, as you are walking out your salvation, there's always a threat to you. There's always a place that can go dark very quickly. It's because we don't understand who we are. Are y'all still with me? And so as she put him in this little basket and rolled him along, and then now his sister Miriam stood some distance away to find out what would happen. Tell somebody, your darkness have purpose. Point number 2, God has weapons we know not of. Moses' sister watched what will become of him. Moses' sister was in the cut, watching what will become of the child. Tell somebody, God has weapons we know not of. See, what you need to understand is you have angels watching out for you. People were not even aware that you are not even aware of are acting on your behalf. This is where you got to treat everybody good. Because there are people out here you're not even aware of. You may not even come into contact with that are working on your behalf. And to prove it to you, yesterday, the Sister Queen Sanctuary, I was honored to be invited to share. So when we pulled up in the parking lot, Sister LaDonya has a friend, her name is Katina, and another lady pulled up, and she said, "Is that Sarita? I haven't seen her since middle school." See, what if she had the wrong attitude? You understand what I'm saying? You don't know how that relationship came back around. You don't know. You don't know what God is doing. He has weapon you know not of. There are some places you are trying to go that she's already been. And she comes back into your life. And if you remember in middle school, she used to treat me bad, you're going to miss your blessing. Come on, somebody. See, you have to always understand, and this is one of the things I shared, is that you have to understand that God is everywhere in you. Everything you see is a manifestation of God. So if you keep that in mind, this is a manifestation of God. When Rosie got her Mercedes truck, all I saw that as a manifestation of God. God manifested himself through her to have a Mercedes truck. Are you understanding me? So if you take that thought and everything you see is a manifestation of God, you will never treat anybody wrong. Even if you're not a Mercedes fan. Come on, somebody. You understand what I'm saying? Because I look over there and say, that's a pretty truck. Who is even better? because I can sit in the passenger seat or the back seat and don't have to make the payment. You go, God. Come on, somebody. Do you understand me? Go, God, go. I'm looking for somebody to pull up with a Lamborghini because I'm going to jump right in the passenger seat, let go around the corner. You understand? Because it's a manifestation of God. So there's no reason for me to be jealous because it's working for my good anyway. Because when she ready to roll, girl, I'm going to sit right in this back seat. Now get up front, Pastor. No. I'm going to sit. Matter of fact, yesterday I did it to LL and Deacon Donna. They were going. She said, you riding with me? Yes. Deacon Donna tried for the grab for the back door. I said, I'm sitting back here. You get up front. Y'all my show for the day. Come on, somebody. Because I'm trying to experience all that God had, because he has weapon we know of. Because little lady never drives for me. I'm always driving. So I'm going to get in the back seat and I said, you know, it's really comfortable back here. I'm playing with the windows and the blinds. And I said, oh, look at that. I can open the sunroof from back here. I've never been back here. She said, quit playing with my stuff. You worse than Journey and Genesis. Oh, well, this is my experience today. God, because all I see is God manifesting himself. And these are weapons we know of because I was happy not to drive. Do you understand? So you have to make it as small as you possibly can. God is working on my behalf. He just doing stuff all over the place. My car broke down. I had to call for a ride to work, and I got a ride to work. You ought to say, thank you, God. I didn't have to get into traffic and somebody else was cutting them off. And today I don't have to cuss nobody out, even though they don't know. So he has weapons we know of, but you have to open your awareness to see God in everything. There is no bad happening. It is your perception. Are y'all hearing me? There is no bad happening. It is your perception, how you view it. I've told you a lot of times that you have to take your emotions out of the event. It's just an event. Are y'all still with me? It's just an event. Tell somebody it's just an event. And if you see it for that, you will always see God working. See, we were conditioned to believe that we have to tie our emotions to everything. That's what keeps getting us in trouble. And this is the analogy I use. I was driving one day, and there was a vehicle on fire on the highway. I was driving by, and I was like, it's burning so bad you can't even tell what kind of car it is. But right at the back end, you can see a little bit of paint color. And I was going, I said, that looked like lady color. I was trying to weave to get around, take the on pass and come back around and make sure that's not my wife's car. And why? Because I was emotionally attached to the event, which wasn't even leading lady. Are y'all following me? I'm calling. And she said, why are you calling me so much? I said, well, where you at? Home. So all of that emotional energy I put into that was for naught. Are y'all following me? But I did pray for whoever it was. Do you understand? That because somebody is about to go off the rails when they find out this was them. So it's just an event. Stop attaching your emotions to it and see God in it. Say, okay, God, what is this about? Should I be happy? Should I be, what should I be doing with this? And God's going to tell you ought to always be happy. Because I'm in control. I'm taking care of you. Oh, come on, somebody. He has weapons we know of. Let me tell you, let me give you an example of that. The last week, I was at the preachers' meeting. And one of them said, we got this conference coming up. They call me Bishop. They don't call me Bishop. They call me Bishop. Whatever. And he said, and this is one who always everything I say, he has a little, comeback. He said, and I want to know if you would be the speaker. What? You want my opinion to go to your folk after you fight me every week? See, there's weapons you know not of. All you have to stay in truth. God is working this out. He's opening doors for you. You don't even know that's opening. On the other side of that, he's closing some doors you trying to go through because he said, this ain't for you. And what we have in our minds, nobody gonna tell me no. No, sometimes work. If somebody tell you no, don't move quickly to the next thing. Evaluate why the no came. You follow me? And then when you understand the no, evaluate the no, let spirit tell you why the no came or show you why the no came. Then you make your next reasonable step. But that's not how we were told. That's not how we were taught. We were taught if somebody tell you no, you just go to the next person. No, evaluate. Why did they tell you that? Why this door in this moment wasn't open? You can't make a door open for you. Better yet, you can. You can make any door open for you, but it's going to be very painful to close it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So therefore, let God open the right door so you can have some grace and ease. Tell somebody God has weapons you know not of. Why is this important? Because the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. Listen, y'all have to read and look up definitions. Okay? Ordered is a past tense word. Y'all don't miss that. It's a past tense word. That means all I can do is walk in what God has. Do y'all understand that? See, most of us are walking around thinking we are going unguided. You are not going unguided. God has already ordered your steps. You're walking right where God cares you to be. Tell somebody, I'm right where God needs me to be. I'm right where I'm supposed to be. It may not feel like it. It may not look like it, but I am right where God wants me to be. Tell somebody, stop looking at me and trying to push me all into. I am right where I'm supposed to be. And what we need to understand is start letting people's dream drive us into the wrong direction. Well, you should be doing something better. And you jump on trying to do something better, and you walk right out of the will of God. Come on, somebody. It may not seem like it, but let me tell you, you are right where you're supposed to be. And if you stay there, you will see the next move of God. Don't get fidgety and start to walk. You are right where, and I know it don't feel good. The checkbook balance is low. This going on, children acting crazy. You are right where you supposed to be. Tell somebody, stay right there. Why? Because God got you. He got you. And those are the weapons that we know not of. And what's happening is we are moving right out from the weapon to protect us into somebody else's foolishness. Well, God, I thought you wanted to protect me. Yeah, the umbrella over here, but you went over there. You went from under the umbrella. Get back over here and get under the umbrella that I set up on your path. Quit looking at other people's path. This is your walk. Your walk, your personal, your salvation. Stop allowing other people to influence it. They can only tell you what they think. And that's not the mind of Christ. Do y'all understand me? They're telling you what they think you should do. You have God inside of you. Why are you listening to outside influences when God is in you directing you? Come on, somebody. Well, I can't hear God because you're listening to everybody else. And one thing that was taught yesterday about personality is loud. And when personality is loud, you can't hear spirit. Because the personality is loud, speaking above what the spirit saying, so you can go in that direction. Oh, come on, somebody. That's a teaching y'all gonna have to. That's a teaching y'all gonna have. We're gonna have to teach you on that for y'all so y'all can understand that. But that's an important thing so that you can understand, because spirit is telling you what the weapons are. There is stuff happening in your life. You say, what? Where? What? How? What? How that? Where? How? When I get there? And God is saying, boy, I got weapons you know not of. Stuff is happening. You haven't even thought. It hasn't even come to your mind. You haven't even heard the stuff that I have planned for you. And you up here putting it around. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Go. Yeah, I know you messed up. Brush those knees off. Get up. Let's get back in the zone. Let's keep going. Why? Because our upbringing tells us, girl, you done said you got to go in sackcloth and black ashes. And you got to hold yourself down to a whatever extent of time to show that you are remorseful, you're repentant. Who determines that? Because God doesn't care about that. Because as soon as I said, Lord, oh, Lord, forgive me. He said, okay, come on, let's go. Because it's gone. He don't remember it no more. So the only person that can remember it is who? You. You doing it to yourself. Tell somebody you're doing it to yourself. And that nullifies the weapons God has plans for you. Oh my God. And so Pharaoh's daughter came down to bathe. Now, listen to the strategicness of God. Pharaoh's daughter came down to bathe. And on the other side of the river, Moses' mother know when to put him in the water. Come on, somebody. Come on. See, don't miss this. Pharaoh's daughter came down to bathe. And so they were ritualistic. So she would come down at the same time every day to bathe. Now, how does Moses' mother know that? Come on, y'all. Don't miss this. How does she know this? Because as she was using her resources to keep him hid, her antennas were up. I got to see what's happening. And the talk was around that, Pharaoh's daughter really like our Hebrews, so she really against us. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? Do y'all getting it? See, while you doing this, somebody over here is setting you. They setting you up. But if you look at them wrong, you're going to miss. So she came down to bathe, and she saw the basket among the reeds. Now listen how strategic it is. She came down to bathe. The river wasn't too slow or too fast. It was at the right current that caused him to float right by. Come on, somebody. See, God has weapons. He's using all of the universe to make your greater come out. Come on, somebody. And so she goes and she says, oh, I hear a baby. What is that? Get that basket and bring it over here. And when she opened it, she had pity on him. Listen to me. See, when she opened the basket, the darkness was removed. Are y'all missing? See, I am no longer in my dark place now. And the favor of God was on me that she had pity. Are y'all following me? And so now she looks at him and says, "Oh, this is one of the Hebrew children." What was the mandate? Kill him. Come on, somebody. And then Moses' sister steps in and say, "Ooh, she didn't give Pharaoh's daughter chance to think. He came right away. Do you want me to get one of the Hebrew women's to?" She didn't give him chance to. She didn't give him chance to ruminate. Oh, should I kill him? Or should? She didn't give him the opportunity. She already saw he had favor, so she came right in to the point and said, "Do you want me to go get one of them Hebrew women's to melt?" And she said, "Yes, go ahead." Here it is. She knows this is one of the Hebrew babies. Moses' sister said, "Do you want me to get one of the Hebrew women?" She said, "Yes." Now, I don't know about you, but something would click in me and say, "Well, who are you going to get?" Because this is somebody's baby. Come on. That's how I think. But she didn't care. She said, "Go." And here it is. She went and got Moses' mother and brought her to Pharaoh. Daughter. Pharaoh daughter says, "Take this child, raise him till he's weaned, and I will pay you wages." Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Listen, weapons we know not of. Here it is. I used all of my resources to hide him. I am out of options. And now here it is. I now get to raise my own child and get paid. Come on, somebody. Now, is that a weapon we know not of? Come on, somebody. And so he said, "And you do this," and she did it, took the child, nursed him. The child grew. She brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she named him Moses and said, "Because I drew him out of the water." Here's point number 3. Your presumed enemy will be used to push you to your destiny. Your presumed enemy will push you to your destiny. Tell somebody you don't have haters. You have haters. Everybody loves you enough to be pushed by God to push you to your destiny. Pharaoh was considered the enemy. Pharaoh's daughter drew him in. Pharaoh's daughter paid her mother who had used all of her resources to hide him. She's now going to get paid to take care of him. Psalms 23:5 says it the best. I'll prepare a table before you in the presence of who? Come on, somebody. Not only are they going to give me the table, but he's going to give me my clothes to wear. He's going to give me my education. He's going to do all of these things because my presumed enemy is working on my behalf. Tell somebody he's working on my behalf. Listen, y'all know who Dawn Staley is? She's the coach of the women's basketball of South Carolina. Women's basketball. She was after one of the games, she was doing an interview. And the reporter says, "How do you deal with the constantly going to arena after arena and everybody's booing you?" And the reporter asked her that. And she said, well, I think you got it wrong. She said, "They weren't hating on me. They were showing me love. You didn't hear them calling me boo?" Do y'all get that? She took the adversity and made it for her. See, you got to get that. So whenever you walk into a situation that is not working for you, you got to turn that thing and make it work for you. And so that's how you get the upper hand on life, is because you can't look at everything and say, oh, this is going to take me down. No, it's not going to take you down. This thing about to lift me up. He says he'll make you the footstool. They have to. How you going to get up if something's not how are you going to take the next step? So you got to look at it and say, okay, this is not an obstacle or a roadblock. This thing is going to take me to the next place in God. So quit looking at everything as bad and look at it as this is another opportunity for God to take me to where I got to go. Your presumed enemy will be push you to your destiny. Listen. How this works is you have to change the way you think. You can no longer get stuck on the woe is me, because you will never move. And here it is. This is going to hurt a little bit. Change your circle of people. Why? Because your circle of people are just like you. You got the same story. They got the same story. Y'all ain't going nowhere. You need to change your circle and get around people who's going somewhere. Everything in you is going to feel uncomfortable. Good. That's what the blog places were supposed to do, make you feel uncomfortable. Every day. And long as you're uncomfortable, you won't sit still. Come on, somebody. I'll give you another example. When I went to Iraq, I had to drive the CO. And every time we pull we're leaving the camp, we pull up and you got to get out and you got to load your weapons and everything. Now, but load my 9mm. I had a shoulder holster, so I load my 9mm. We get in the car. Now take a deep breath. And they said, why you do that? I said, because I got instructions for y'all. They said, what are your instructions? I said, I need everybody to squeeze their butt cheeks together. And he's like, what? Why we? I said, squeeze your butt cheeks together. And I want you to squeeze them together till we get back. And they're like, well, why would you do that? I said, because you have to concentrate to keep your butt cheeks squeezed together. And I can't have you playing while we driving down this road and people shooting at us. So you squeeze your butt cheeks together and you don't let go till we come back to the camp. Why? Because it takes effort. And every time you think about letting loose, you pucker up a little tighter. Come on, somebody. So that's rule 1. Rule 2 is if I have to go for my 9mm, we all in trouble. He said, well, why would you say that? Because that means y'all ain't keeping them off me. You understand? Y'all got to do y'all work to keep them off me, because I cannot drive and, you follow me? So that's rule number 2. Rule number 3, no jokes. Because if you laugh, you're going to let loose. Come on, somebody. You understand? You're going to get too comfortable till we get back. You have to set some plans in place to get yourself to push past your past. Are you following me? You have to, whatever it takes for you to put yourself in a position to move forward, do it. Change your circle. They're going to be all right. Because every time you leave, they talk about you anyway. They are going to be all right. You need to be around people who are going to push you to your destiny. Is that going to be easy? No, it's not. Because, I wish we could teach that lesson from yesterday. because that would really work right now. Because you are made up of what people have shaped you to be. And you need to change your circle so the real you can start to come out. Are y'all following me? And that requires you to be truthful to yourself. Yes, I've been hanging on this story too long. It's time for me to get a new story. Not only that, the truth be told, they tired of hearing your tired story. Every time you get in trouble, well, you know, when I was 3, well, you know, when I got 15, and they said, but you 50. Well, what stopped you since then? Myself. You know, when I grew up, it was always the man. Have y'all been there? The man keeping me down. Well, who the man? Can somebody point this man out to me so that I can get him off my back? And every time something happened, well, you know, the man, he ain't gonna let you have but so much. What? Well, what is so much? That's your thinking. And as long as you think that way, you're never going anywhere. Tell somebody, get up. Because greater is calling. Remember, your dark places have purpose. All of that stuff that happened to you have purpose. You now have to take that darkness and say, okay, that was then, this is now. I appreciate the lessons that came out of it. Because let me tell you, I would not have been as tough as I am right now. Let me tell you, because I grew up with a mom, well, in my early years, my mom loved, held, babied me. And I remember having a conversation with leading lady about it. And she said, sir, if your mom was alive right now, what would you think would happen? And you know, or what would you think you would be? And you know, I had to really think about that thing. And I really wanted to give her this mystical, magical story of I would be blah, 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 blah. But the truth be told, I said, I would have never met you because I would have been in the church there and never left anywhere to see anything. Are y'all following me? But look at me now. I remember when I was joining the Navy, and I remember sitting on the corner with some of my friends. You know, you would sit on the corner, street corner. And I was looking at them, and I said, Lord, if I don't get out of here, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And the Lord says, I got something for you. And my brother, that next day, my brother came home on leave from the Navy. I said, yeah, that's it. Now, let me tell you how crazy I am, because I joined the Navy and didn't tell a soul. One day, I had my little backpack, left the house, got on the bus, went to MEPS. And the only reason I called home from boot camp, because they made me. Come on, somebody. Because I was over this life. I ain't going back this. I want a difference. And I knew I had to cut off everything around me in order to make that happen. Because if somebody had said something, I would have been like, okay, I'll still. No, I said, I got to get out of here. And so I went, and let me tell you, weapons we know of, let me tell you how God worked that out. So the further I had been out of Charleston was, I think we went to North Carolina. That's it. God knew what he needed to do, because when I showed him I was willing to cut off everybody, he sent me to San Diego for boot camp. Are you following me? Not only that, from San Diego to Italy for my first duty station. He said, you want out? I'm going to get it all out of you. So there are right. So there are weapons we know not. God is doing stuff, and you have to be able to recognize that He's pushing me way over here. Why? Don't I ain't going. I want to stay right here. No, because everybody I love is right here. God is saying, but greater is calling. You have to embrace the change. You have to embrace the charge, because all your life is not right here. God has things you have not seen, have not experienced. You don't even know that's coming your way, but you have to have an open mind, awareness to allow Spirit to show you greater is calling. Do y'all hear it? Did y'all hear it? Tell somebody greater is calling. Do you hear it? No, I want you to hear it. Do y'all hear greater is calling? Don't allow your life mess with you. You can't beat that. You cannot. God bless you on that. You cannot. Put it out one more time. Listen. Greater is calling. Answer the phone. Answer it. Tell him I'm coming. Don't put no do not disturb on it. Answer the phone call. Answer it, because greater is calling. God bless you.